I think before I begin, I want all of you all to get up and give yourselves a really huge round of applause. Clap louder than you've ever clapped. Celebrate yourselves. And let's get some energy back. And I know I've got the graveyard shift, guys, but come on, we've got more energy than this. Thank you so much. So, this is how we begin our day in all our offices across the country, every single morning, every single day. We celebrate what we're going to achieve. We celebrate what we're going to fail at. We celebrate what we're going to learn. And in fact, my pilots do it in the cockpit. Before each takeoff, the cabin crew joins them, the ground staff joins them, the engineers join them. And when I hire a 60-year-old pilot and I tell him, you've got to do this, he looks at me up and down and he said, Beta, aap kya bol rahe ho? I said, you learn, you've got to do it. Because I just think it instills this sense of pride in what you're going to do. And I think it's very, very important to celebrate each and every day, each failure, each success, each mountain that you're going to climb, and overall be happy. I'm Kanika Tekriwal, and I'm here to share with you what my story, and hopefully leave you, a little inspired with things you can do, the way you can change the world. I've been working in the aviation industry since I was 16. I actually wanted to become a pilot. I belong to a very traditional Marwadi business family where girls don't work, girls get married at 18. We don't study science, physics, maths. I was in the 10th grade when I told my parents that I want to take PCM. And my father looked at me and said, are you crazy? He thought I was dumb and I wasn't smart enough because I hated maths. The only reason I wanted to take PCM in my 11th grade was because I wanted to become a pilot. So I told him, if I don't take PCM, I won't be able to become a pilot. And he turned around and said, हमारे घर की लड़कियां दूसरों के लिए काम नहीं करती हैं. आप pilot बनोगे, driver बनोगे? And I looked at him and I said, no, I'm going to become a pilot. He said, what's the difference? You'll fly people around apart from drive people around. And I think I was 15 at that time, very young, 14 in fact, very young, very naive. And I probably assumed that what my parents knew was right. I moved to Bombay to do college, in fact, very close to where I was here. I came to a very nice design school run by my aunt, which was the ideal marriage ground for every Marwadi girl. You went there and you were like, haan, theek hai, you'll tick all the check boxes, the final check box is ticked, and you made it. Except that what my parents did was they gave me 2,000 rupees a month as pocket money in 2006. So, and of course, they paid my rent and my food was taken care of. I think I came to Bombay on a Thursday. I went out with college friends on a Saturday, and all my money was over. When I asked my dad, I said, what are you, it's 2006, you're giving me 2,000 rupees. And my father said, if I give you more money, you're going to start drinking, smoking, doing drugs, and everything a good Marwadi girl shouldn't be doing. Not like none of that ever did not happen. It inevitably did happen with or without his, 2,000 rupees. But I went and got myself a job. I started working as an intern with Indiabulls, post which I got myself a full-time job where I used to finish college at 5, finish design school. I used to go for my BA college 7 to 10 in the morning. Then I used to go to design school from 11 to 6, and then I used to go to office and work till 2, and I used to be paid 40,000 rupees a month in 2006, which from 2000 was like a real whole lot of money. And I used to take all my friends out, buy them their drinks, buy them their dinners, and I think life was really good. Whilst I was doing this, my parents did not know about this, of course. For them, I was still that good Marwadi girl, going to design school, wearing decent clothes, not going out partying, all of that. And I think whilst I was doing my design work at Indiabulls, I got this opportunity where I ran into the chairman of the company. And they had this huge model of the Indiabulls Center 1, which when I was in college was just like a really big hole. But now it's this amazing building, which I'm sure all of you visit all the time. And they had a helipad on top of it. And I remember walking into his office and saying, no helicopter is going to land here. I used to have bright pink hair. I used to wear bangles till here. My jeans used to be ripped from my thighs till my ankles. And this man looked at me like, who the hell are you? What are you doing here? And I said, I'm taking care of your design. I'm the only person in the marketing team who does design. But either way, this helipad shouldn't be here. And he understood what I was talking about and said, okay, fine, thank you very much. The next day, he offered me a job to set up aviation for India Bulls. And I think that's when, very naive, very headstrong, very arrogant, a very arrogant version of me decided to set up this business for India Bulls. And we went about it. I was given about $120 million to buy assets. And I really got paid to learn. I was earning more money than I could ever imagine at that age. But it also brought along with it a lot of, I think I was very egoistic. And I was this really horrible person who, if I had a boss, I would have kicked and said, thank you very much. I don't want to work for you. But I was lucky enough for people to tolerate me. And life went on. And my parents came to know that I was working. So as soon as I graduated, they said, you have two options. You either get married or you go abroad, you do a year of your master's and come back and get married. I obviously picked part 2 because I managed to get myself a job in the UK. And I went and worked there again on the pretense of studying. And I think that's when my time had run out. So I came back home to actually convince my parents that, I'm not that Marwari girl who wants to get married, have kids. I'm good at something, I'm passionate about something, and I really want to do it. But I think as soon as I came back, within 2 days, I was diagnosed with cancer, which kind of, sent my whole life in a tizzy. I came back really optimistic, thinking, I'm going to convince my parents, I'm going to be changing the world of aviation. Little did I know that a word that I didn't even know what it meant was going to impact my life in such a great way. And I think the treatment took about a year, and it had a lot of ups and downs where I realized one thing, which was, God gives you one life, one chance to do whatever you want to do. And it's up to you to make whatever you want to out of it. Everyone's going to say no. Every single person around you is going to say, no, this is the right thing to do. No, do this. Since we're small, no, don't touch that. No, don't eat that. No, don't go there. No, don't do this. No, don't do that. Why do we keep listening to no's? It's up to us to turn every no into a yes. And I took this conscious decision at that time that I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to cure the disease. I'm going to do what I want to do, and I'm going to go out there and live my life the way I want to live it. And not that it was very easy, but I think it takes a lot of conviction to fight something where the whole world's written you off. I remember within 5 days of my diagnosis, we were in Bombay at my aunt's house. And all my lovely Marwari relatives were standing at the bottom of the staircase, talking to my mother and saying, "Agar theek bhi ho jayegi, to aap shaadi kaise karaoge?" And my poor mother over there, she's seen a 21-year-old kid who's been diagnosed with cancer. I was my parents' world. I was the first kid. My brother was like some sidekick to them, and like literally. And then her whole world has come to a spinning stop, and people are telling her that you shouldn't even bother, spending the time or energy to cure something that matters to you so much. So I actually walked down and I told my mom, I said, "Mom, don't worry, I'm going to be on the cover of Forbes 5 years from now. Let all these people talk whatever they want to talk." I had no clue how you made it into the Forbes, leave alone the cover of Forbes. I had no idea what I was talking about. I was again this arrogant, oversmart kid who could get over every hurdle in the world. So anyway, cancer got over. I was in remission. And I told my dad, I want to go work. I want to set up my own company. He was like, why? I said, because every single person I've reached out to for a job has said, what if you fall sick again? You'll need so much leave. So there's no other choice. I want to start my business. My whole skin color had changed because of chemotherapy. And I gained about 20 kgs of weight. I just didn't look like the person I was pre-cancer. So my father's first response was, no, you should sit at home for a year. My parents live in Bhopal, just, for the record, which is the most boring place on planet Earth. I spent a year getting treatment there, and I really went half bonkers. So he said, you've got to spend another year here and fix yourself, fix the way you look, get back your skin color, get back your size, or you won't be socially acceptable. And I think for someone who's just, come out of a disease that was, that it really, really scared the daylights out of, it just wasn't something you really wanted to hear. You didn't want your own father telling you. And he said it in all niceness. A good Marwari business family living in Bhopal, what are all your friends going to tell you? Ki your daughter's become so dark. So what, theek ho gayi? Ab shaadi kaise hoegi? You have to get her married to someone who's way lower than you. That's all the conversation they heard. So even if their intentions are clean, you tend to react with what society feeds you. at the end of the day. So I actually ran away from home the next day. My parents went for a morning walk every day. I packed my bags. I moved to Delhi, and I decided to set up this company called JetSetGo. And my great, bright idea was that I'm going to be the next Mark Zuckerberg. I'm going to build an app where every single person who owns a private jet is going to list a private jet, and every single person who wants to hire a private jet is going to come and book a private jet. I had no idea how apps work. This was 2021, guys. Barely anyone knew what an app was. I didn't know how tech worked, leave alone how to code. I didn't even know what it took to make an app. I just thought if I make an app, it'll work. So everyone will download it, everyone will book, and I'm going to change the world the way the world flies. So we built this app, and when I left home, by the way, I had left with 5,600 rupees, so I had no money to actually fund this business. I moved to Delhi, lived with my friends from boarding school. I had a friend who was a techie. I gave him some stake in my business. He did the tech part of it, and we built this app. When I went to airplane operators, who were all my friends prior to this whole episode of falling sick, who were all people I did business with, every single one of them laughed at me. They said, Kanika, why are you wasting your time? You're so good at fashion. Why don't you start a fashion line? Someone said, why don't you make shoes? Then when I went to a potential customer to use the app, he said, beta, aap cupcake shop khol lo. Cupcakes bahut acha karenge. Aap kyun plane vane chalane ki koshish kar rahe ho? And I think there was even my own father, in fact, who told his own brother that I don't know what she's doing. I think she's making a game or something. Because he had no clue what an app was. I mean, now when I go and ask him, do you know what an app is? He's going to probably kick me and send me flying to Bombay. But that's the way it was. Every single person laughed. And I think I had every reason in the world to really give up and pack my bags, move back to Bhopal. I had no money. I had no idea what I was doing technically. And I said, no, I think there's something to this. Either I'm doing something that's completely wrong, or I'm doing something that's so great that everyone's laughing at it because they can't adapt to the fact that it can actually change the world. And I went back to the drawing board. I understood what should I change to make it more acceptable? What should I change to, really make people use the service, etc., with the big constraint of not having money. And I said, fine, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do all my business offline, but push it all online. So like the smart Marwadi business girl that I am, as Marwadis, you have business flowing in your veins. You grow up listening to, you have to make money. For me, the whole idea of running a startup and losing money didn't make sense. So I was very clear, okay, I've got to make money and I've got to make this work. So I went to aircraft owners. I took their planes. I went to customers, the very traditional way, the very proper broker way. I would take money in advance from my customers, pay my operators like months later, buying credit for them, roll over the money, and keep moving all these transactions online through the app to show people, okay, fine, every single transaction is actually happening. Slowly, this started picking up. People started taking attention. People started drawing notice. And what I realized was, while we're enabling a booking service, we're not delivering quality, delivery, consistency, because that was all controlled by the aircraft operator. To give you an example, a customer who paid 20 lakhs to fly from Bangalore to Delhi, was a pure vegetarian Jain, was offered chicken sandwiches on board. It's the epitome of a big failure. And what happens is, if Jet Airways did this or if Kingfisher did this, it was Jet and Kingfisher who got a bad name. But in the private jet industry, because the space is so small and because you only have very, very few plane owners, we took the plane through JetSetGo. So I said, hang on, how do I fix this? I've got to raise capital and go out and buy 20 planes. That wasn't an option. No man, woman, fund was going to give me about $1 billion to go buy 20 planes to this 22-year-old with this idea of changing the world. So I went to airplane owners and I said, I'm going to make your planes profitable for you if you let me run them. I had demonstrated experience of running them since I was 16 years old, doing a good job on them. And our first customer, in fact, was an airport operator. They had 3 planes. And I said, you know how to run airports really well, but you don't know how to run planes. You're losing so much money. And that man took the leap. He said, I see the drive in you. I see the energy in you. I'm going to take a leap of faith. And he gave us his plane. And there was no turning back from then. We got about 40 airplanes on board within a span of 1 year, where owners only owned the asset, but we ran the asset. In the beginning of all this, I was one person. I used to answer the phone with different names because I didn't want people thinking, this is a one-man show. But by the thank you. But by the end of it, I think with the 40 planes, we became about an 80-member team, which was still very lean. Today Go Air didn't have 40 planes, and they probably had 1,000 people. And without owning a single plane, we became the largest private jet company in India, delivering the service we wanted to, delivering the quality we wanted to deliver. And I think that's when every single person in the industry started ignoring us. You know, my own friends who turned into competitors, my own well-wishers who were telling me, you'll do so well if you start a boutique, you'll do so well if you bake cupcakes, you'll do so well if you do something else apart from aviation. And I was like, yeah, you guys are probably scared of me. And they all ignored me. They tried to do everything to make sure I didn't succeed. You know, they would send people to poke nails in the tires of our planes so our planes didn't take off the next morning. And I think while it did trouble me a little bit, or not actually, little bit is a lie, it troubled me a lot at that time. It also taught me how to always have a solution, to always, have a backup option. It taught us as a company to perform better. We knew if we were activating a certain flight, we had to have a backup plane. They would pay our pilots not to turn up, for the job. So we had to have a backup pilot. They would even, hijack the catering vehicles, literally. Like, they'll make sure when the catering vehicle is coming to the plane, there's another vehicle parked in front. And, I think I was 23, 24 by then. It was a lot to handle. You never thought that the world worked so cruelly. But I'm very grateful for these experiences. I'm very grateful that these people tried to ignore us and fight us so strongly, because it made us who we are. It taught us how to fight any battle. It taught us how to fight and overcome any obstacle that came our way. So this was going really well, and then came COVID. And, we were in a situation where we had about 16 planes parked in different parts of the world. And we'd also reached a point as a company where I think our demand had far exceeded the supply available. So for the first time in our lives, we went out and we raised debt. I was so particular. I said, I'm not going to dilute equity. I'm going to go raise a lot of debt. We raised debt and we bought 8 aircrafts, which were also funded with a combination of customer advances as well as debt. And then boom, you had COVID. All planes stopped flying. Everything went for a toss. And we had about 16 or 18 planes stuck in parts of the world where you couldn't even repo those planes and bring them back. And I think the next 1 month, you had every single aviation company lay off people, fire people, cut salaries to the tune of 40%. And I woke up and I did a call with my leadership team. And they said, ma'am, we have to cut pay. Everyone's doing it. So I said, was everyone making money in this business while we were making money? There's a common saying that if you're a billionaire and you want to become a millionaire, start an airline. We are the only profitable aviation business. So what gives us the right to cut salaries? And I remember my CFO saying, ma'am, how long will we sustain this? I said, we're going to sustain it till we can. When we can't, we'll shut shop. And they all looked at me on the Zoom call like, I had gone a bit cuckoo and maybe I had a COVID brain or something like that. And then I turned around and I said, guys, when we made money, when we made so much profit, did we go out and give 100% of the profit to every single employee in the company, or did we only share 20% of it as incentives? Today, when we're going to lose money, is it right for all of us to not take care of those who've trusted in us blindly, who've helped us arrive where we have? And while there was a lot of silence, obviously the younger people in the leadership team definitely agreed with me. The slightly older men thought, "Acha, theek hai, bakwas kar rahi hai, apne aap she'll come on line." There was a lot of whispering behind backs saying that she's lost her marbles, we should look for another job, we're not going to make it, and stuff like that. 3 months later, when the airports opened up partially, when private jets could fly, no other private jet companies' ground staff turned up. No other private jet companies' pilots turned up in Delhi because they were all scared of getting COVID. At JetSetGo, we had more people than we wanted. I remember people coming up dressed like aliens. I used to literally call them aliens. They used to wear these hazmat suits and with the helmets, not even with like masks. They used to wear helmets and come because they were so scared about COVID. But they all showed up, and they worked with renewed vigor. And whatever money we lost as a result of the 3-month lockdown, we gained more. In fact, we performed the best we've ever performed that financial year, because every single person was committed to making it happen. And the 8 planes that we ordered, we did get them, thankfully, because the whole market changed post-COVID. I think one of the few industries that COVID did work for was ours, where a lot of people started flying more private. A lot of people who could afford private and were not flying private earlier started flying private. And it opened a lot of new opportunities and a lot of new doors for us. Today, as I stand in front of you, we're on the verge of importing our 15th plane. We're a 400 people strong team in the last 7 years. Thank you. And the only message I can really share with you is that, I think we're all in this school called life, where every single day we're tested, we have to give these exams. And there's no There's no curriculum, there's no course, there's no way you can study for these exams. It's about using yourself, it's about believing in yourself, it's about applying your own mind, trusting your own instincts. I think women are way, way, way more smarter than men. And I don't say this because I'm a woman. I say it for the simple reason that, if we're able to balance 25 things at the same time, there's something we have that others don't. Which is why I don't think we should look for opportunities which say Woman Entrepreneur of the Year, or woman entrepreneur should have special benefits, or woman entrepreneur should be given this tax benefit. I think as an Indian, I'm very proud that the government does not have a different tax system for women anymore, because I think we're smarter, we're better, we're stronger. And if we believe in ourselves, absolutely nothing else in the world can stop us from doing whatever we want to do. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kanika.
Adi Lakshmi.